Hello, everybody. Welcome to Torn Tuesday, your weekly dose of all things Lord of the Rings. Clifford, Broadway. Wait, I can't hear you now. We just had this working, Cliff.
I think everything works now. I want to say hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. That's funny. Everybody doesn't realize this, but of course, we say welcome to the audience and welcome a very high, hearty, and welcome to everybody. But we were struggling with a couple of audio issues just a minute ago, barely 60 seconds before the show started. But look what we have, everybody. We have conversations today about what's inside the pages of this book, The Lord of the Rings. See that? Look at that beautiful, shiny gold foil. We have conversations today about what's going on in the Second Age, because some of it is in the appendix of that Lord of the Rings. Some of it is referencing the Silmarillion, but we know that Amazon Prime does not have access to the Silmarillion. So we're going to be talking about things in between. We've been looking at new marketing, new advertising that has come out from the Rings of Powe. And of course, we'll talk about a few other things, news, headlines, and some gossip for anything related to J.R.R. Tolkien. Welcome to our live show. This is Torn Tuesday. How you doing, everybody? Nice to have you.
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking, Cliff, even though you weren't directing at me. We are live on Twitch,
I
Twitter,
was.
Facebook. We've been doing the show over 10 years, over 500 episodes, and now we're in the next age of fandom, and there's so much to talk about. Why can't... every time I don't log into Discord on this computer for a month, it just forgets my password. But Discord is where all the action is. Every time there is like a drop of anything from any movie or show, it ends up on our Discord immediately. Shout out to Varking and all the people that have been talking nonstop all day, all weekend, all week, and all month about this. You can join our Discord at the link down in the corner there. And I am breaking news, Cliff. I haven't told you this because it just dropped in my email box.
No, wait, but there's so much upfront news that everyone's been talking about.
I know, but is there
something else? A surprise?
This is huge. Cliff,
okay, tell me.
In my inbox, the OneRing.net has just been approved as an official partner on Discord. We are officially a Discord partner. That means all perks are free. We have unlocked higher quality audio calls, higher quality video streams inside Discord. And if you're a regular in our Discord, and you might see some of them in the chat on screen, you'll notice if you're in the Discord, you'll know that every week we have unofficial reading rooms where fans get together and take turns reading chapters. Now that the One Ring is an official partner with Discord, we have upgraded call quality. That means the audio should sound better starting next week. Folks,
that's really encouraging.
Is huge.
That's great news. Well done to the Discord community that has migrated over there. We have so many people who've been on our message boards for 20 odd years. And originally they were on the IRC chat going way back then. And now we have so many great people on our Facebook community and Twitter and Instagram. But now to see even more of this really enlightened folks coming over to chat and share great enthusiasm. I tell you, the Discord is the most energetic, fun crowd. It's like the fun house.
They have Cliff emotes.
It's so fun. There's never a dull moment. Never a dull moment. There's even my little cat, who is at the moment all laying out here on the hardwood floors trying to get cool air circulating, because it's a rather bit of a warm thumper of a summer day here in Los Angeles. And here we are broadcasting, not really from Scum and Villainy, but from
Hollywood.
Places, different places, in California. Here we are.
We're still in Hollywood. Big shout out. The chat room is correct. Big shout out to Tukish, a long-time staff member. Long time.
Yes.
Longer than me.
Yes.
Tukish has really commandeered the moderation team on Discord, helping to keep that place clean.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Of the dirty, and shout out to Varking for helping us set it up in the first place. It's really, really exciting.
I need to second that. We really, at some point, when I get to meet everybody all together and we're having a big event, which I think might be happening in San Diego Comic-Con, I'm going to take Varking and Tukish aside, and I'm going to treat them like, like gold, absolute gold. I'm going to take good care of my friends. And I'm probably going to buy the first round of drinks, I'm sure. But they need to be congratulated for what they've done in helping bring our Discord together. And that's just a hint that San Diego Comic-Con is very, very soon, right around the corner. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
We are going to have so many announcements in the
Justin,
next...
what a great way to start off the show.
I know, and this is like breaking news. I'm so excited right now that we've been trying to get Discord partner for like 3 months. It is one of the fastest growing Discords in the entire platform. The One Ring community has really stepped up, and they're just maximizing all the memes and the GIFs and the emojis. Cliff, you have your own emoji in the Discord. It's amazing. But
I can't. I can't.
You did just spill one of our little secrets for Comic-Con.
No, I did not.
Varking will be at Comic-Con. I can safely announce that now. Your moderator of the Discord and the manager of
I'm looking forward to this.
Lord of the Rings on Prime subreddit, and one of the most influential influencers that Amazon picked out. From 6 billion people in the world, Amazon picked Varking to fly him to London to partake in the festivities. And Varking is making his own effort to come out and be a part of the One Rings fun adventures at Comic-Con. So we're really looking forward to hanging out with Varking. If you guys are coming to Comic-Con, you'll be able to meet Tukish and Varking and Garf and Clifford and... Oh, we have some other surprise. You know what? I'm just going to say it. Nerd of the Rings, Matt, is coming to Comic-Con. He's going to be hanging at our booth. He's going to be on our panel. And we're really excited to dive into the lore. And I'm telling you, folks, anybody that has questions about the lore, questions about the accuracy of some of the discourse on the internet, and it's like, is this true? Was they're never that in this? Matt will be at our booth to guide you through the right
conversation path. Because you know what, you don't want to go alone. Here you'll need this. You'll need Nerd of the Rings and people from the One Ring and friends at websites like Men of the West and the Philosopher's Games, Yoistan, and so many. I'm going to miss out on mentioning dozens of others that are part of this community. But the fact that we're all coming together like this, not just on Discord, but to be there in person for the San Diego event.
Person. And
wild.
I just talked to her last night. We're excited to announce Kelly from Happy Hobbit, the co-author of Middle Earth Script to Screen, an author in her own right, and everyone's favorite Happy Hobbits from the Hobbit years. She'll be coming to Comic-Con, hanging out with us at the booth.
That's so great.
Gonna be on the panels and stuff like that, so we're really happy. And look, if that isn't enough Tolkien lore experts for you, I believe he's gonna fly out on Friday for the rest of the weekend, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Corey Olsen himself, the Tolkien professor, is coming out to answer all of your lore questions. And so Corey Olsen, PhD. Not only does he have a doctorate in Tolkien studies, he created a university where you can get your degrees in postgraduate degrees in
Signum
Tolkien studies and all other studies. So
absolutely worth it. You guys, if you haven't looked it up yet, he's talking about Signum University. You've totally got to look them up.
And you know what, if you guys, if you're in our chat room right now and you have a TikTok and you're all in on TikTok, you absolutely know about New Better Do Better, who is one of the standout panelists on our all-star Super Bowl panel. Say what you want about the trailer. Our panel of experts really dived into the lore on Super Bowl Sunday. Knows New Better Do Better has booked his flight. He's come to hang out with us. That is just a sampling of some of the cool people that we have coming out to hang out with us. It's so good.
Do you know what? There's also others that we can't talk about yet, and there's other surprises that are in store. I've been reaching out to some of my friends, and we're talking about some of the wonderful behind-the-scenes people who worked on the original trilogy 22 years ago, and some people who worked on the Hobbit movies trilogies. And we've been talking to all of our friends and saying, you know what? This particular year down in San Diego, it's going to be a party of special magnificence. And
same at DragonCon.
Really?
The chat room is like, I hope there's stuff
Absolutely.
at DragonCon. I'm telling
Absolutely.
you,
DragonCon as well. Yeah.
We haven't said anything about DragonCon, but I promise you, I'm actually jealous I'm not going to Atlanta. Like, we have some things in store for DragonCon that are going to be once in a lifetime thing. But hey, Cliff, speaking of Comic-Con, you know what I got in the mail today?
Oh, wait a minute. Was that box full of stuff from Warner Brothers Home Entertainment? Oh my gosh. Better known in industry circles, they're known as WBHE.
Our friends at Warner Brothers
Home Entertainment. Yep.
They've been such a friend to the One Ring for 20 years.
They have. They've been very big friends of our community. Oh my gosh.
I asked, they hit me up and they were like, can we help support you guys at Comic-Con? And I said, give us something that we can give away.
Because they know it's a big year too. Everybody has a sense of things across the spectrum, across every possible strata of earth and sediment, out of all these layers and layers of Tolkien fans from all across popular culture. People are getting a sense that something is going to be big, and it's going to be a big event this coming July at San Diego. So I'm not surprised. Tell me, what did they bring us for us to have? What they have?
Folks, Warner Brothers, Cliff,
are these for giveaways?
How are you going to give away?
Oh my gosh!
A 32-disc box set, a 32-disc 4K box set.
Okay, wow.
Of Middle Earth.
Okay.
The entire series with.
That's impressive.
That's very impressive and everything. Cliff.
Oh, nice.
How do you want to give these away at the booth?
Hardcore trivia.
Trivia. Should people study? What should people study? What should people study if you're going to Comic-Con?
Okay, you should study Unfinished Tales and The Second Age and all that Second Age stuff. We're going to focus on that.
And Third Age. This is the Third Age movies. Let's be fair.
Should we make it really hard trivia? Because you got to earn that. That can't be like, oh, what was the Elvish word for friend? It can't be simple trivia like that.
Who was the original actor that was cast as? We can go deep. We'll go deep. Well, folks.
Yeah, we can. I'm telling you, that's a really nice giveaway at Comic-Con. But if people are going to come and get that as a gift, as a giveaway, we're going to make it a challenging, engaging type of trivia interaction thing that'll be really fun.
It will be. They didn't just send me one, Cliff. They didn't just send me one. They sent me another. So we're going to have multiple trivia games. We're going to have multiple trivia. Cliff, you won't believe this.
Oh my gosh.
A third one.
Gosh. Oh my gosh.
Wait,
wow.
You better know your trivia. Wait, Cliff, you're not going to believe this.
What are you doing? Oh my gosh. How many did Warner Brothers send you?
A whole box full.
Holy moly. Wow. Okay.
If you have a Comic-Con badge and you're coming to Comic-Con, brush up on your trivia, because I promise you, Cliff is not going to make this easy.
Now, somebody, hey, Daisy Kim said make it a scavenger hunt with trivia. Now, that's an interesting concept. Scavenger hunt with trivia. You know what? That'd be interesting. Whatever it's going to be real clever. We're going to come up with something very, very clever.
So thank you to our friends at Warner Brothers. And that's not the only thing Warner Brothers is sending our way. And I am quiet on the next thing. But I can tell you, this is the lesser of the things, folks. The One Ring is coming to Comic-Con. Correct. We're coming big way.
We're coming correct. Come to the table correct, with your hands washed and your face all straightened up and your good posture, because we're going to be there on our best behavior. It's going to be amazing. Really amazing.
I believe, was it Monica? I saw some questions in the chat room here asking, will there be will there be something to do for people that weren't lucky enough to get a ticket to Comic-Con, which is expensive and it's a lottery and it's very hard to get anyway. The short answer is, I'll let you know next Tuesday. I'll let you know next Tuesday.
Sure,
but
we'll let you know next
I told you guys last week to keep Friday open. Whether you have a pass or not, keep Friday, pencil it in for that Friday, July 22nd. Just pencil it in, and I will tell you next Tuesday what might come about, whether you have a badge or not. If you live in the Southern California area and you're within driving distance of San Diego Comic-Con, all I'm saying is dust off your cosplay. You're not gonna want to. You're not gonna want to miss this.
I love it when you talk like that. That's gonna be a great weekend of wonderful events, and there'll be events that are outside the convention that people can attend, even if they don't have badges. And there'll be other events that are just exclusively for convention goers. You know, it parcels out. That's what it's like when you have San Diego all weekend long. But from Wednesday night preview night, the OneRing.net will be there at San Diego Comic-Con in the main exhibit hall. We have a booth. We have multiple panels, and we're not even talking about Rings of Powe yet. This is just stuff that the One Ring is doing. I'm telling you, we're coming big. We're really excited after 3 years to be returning to Comic-Con stage. Okay. We are,
and having a good time. And Cliff, I'm so excited.
Me too.
I'm so excited.
I'm very happy to come back to Comic-Con after such a long time. I'm really happy about that. And also, I would like to just, give a shout out to all the people down there in San Diego. They make a lot of money and they need these jobs. And there's a lot of gig workers and part-time workers, and they're all going to be the beneficiaries of all of us coming to San Diego. It's a big boon for their economy. It's a big injection into the San Diego economy. And we all have a great time. And we work a lot and we play a lot. We stay up way too late and we get up way too early to do the events and do the presentations and to man the booth. It's a lot. It's a heck of a lot of stuff. But nowhere else is there an intersection of people, talent, behind the scenes talent, and artists and illustrators who've worked on these movies in the past, and other people who are coming up now, who are working on the Rings of Powe. These are new artists and craftspeople and actors and actresses that we're going to get to talk to and share their ideas about Tolkien and their enthusiasm for this type of project. There's nowhere else on earth except really San Diego Comic-Con that can create this overlap of all these people coming together with all these common interests. And it's pretty wild. It's very cool. For those of you who are going to make it, we're going to have a great time. We're really going to have a great time. I promise you. It's very exciting stuff.
Is it worth getting COVID for? Maybe. I'm prepared emotionally to finally get the thing because I want to say hi to so many of you.
Maybe. I'm not catching anything yet. I hope not. And I've been to Disneyland a couple of times and I still haven't caught it yet. So I think I'm doing okay.
Will you cosplay as Meteor Man?
Doing okay.
Cliff, can you cosplay as Meteor Man?
No, I will not cosplay as anyone except wearing that beautiful patchwork Bilbo Baggins quilted, embroidered dressing gown. That's my cosplay. If you're going to see me do some cosplay, it's going to be absolutely as comfortable as it can possibly be. It will be the most relaxed, comfortable cosplay. Nothing that will be too tight, nothing that will pinch, nothing that will make my feet hurt. walking around in bad shoes
Meteor
all day.
Man is not tight and not pinchy. I promise you. Meteor Man is
Meteor
the
Man-
most comfortable cosplay you could possibly
Yeah,
attempt.
it's walking around in your birthday suit. It's like you're walking around in your birthday suit. No, if I'm going to do any cosplay, it's going to be that extraordinary hand-embroidered Bilbo dressing gown from An Unexpected Journey. That's my style.
Steven in the
cosplay.
chat room, thank you for watching all these years. Steven says, I saw Santana last week and got COVID, but it was worth it.
See, there you go.
There you go.
Steven.
I saw some questions in the
Hope you're
chat
feeling
room.
better.
Do you need to camp out on all day Saturday? I don't think so.
Well, the deal for Hall H is a weird variable. Hall H
on Saturday, I believe, is going to be Marvel. All Marvel, all day.
I would say so, but let's take another step further. They're not going to run Hall H in the same way that they did pre-COVID. You can just imagine that there's going to be a different type of system and perhaps a different type of approach.
I don't know. Star Wars Celebration was pretty normal a couple weeks ago. Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't know the schedule. The schedules are still changing. That's why we're not allowed to announce when our panels are or what our booth is, because things can still get shuffled around and they don't want any confusion out there. So things might not change. But what I heard from my pals in the Marvel and Star Wars universe is that Saturday is dedicated to Disney-owned properties in Hall H. That's what I've heard, which doesn't leave a lot of room for, other fantasy shows.
No, that means a lot of their Star Wars content and Disney Plus content. And of course, Marvel is everything overlapped with Disney now. Correct.
Right.
So that means everything, Marvel and Disney Plus. Okay. Well,
yeah.
Makes sense. That actually sounds like a plan for SDCC.
So Cliff, people in the chat room are asking, can I get this Durin's Folk Family Reunion t-shirt online?
Well,
what's the history of this shirt?
The history of the shirt was that it was originally created out of public domain artwork. We used all public domain artwork, so we didn't owe anybody. We didn't owe an artist for licensing anything, and there was no back channel payment for an origin of design. It was elements that were put together as a pastiche. It was inspired by the handcrafted paper animation that is so famous from director Terry Gilliam. You'll know Terry Gilliam does the animated bits for Monty Python and all the Monty Python TV shows and movies. And of course, in his own right, Terry Gilliam is an amazing filmmaker. But it's a pastiche of Erebor, the Lonely Mountain, and there is a dragon's tail sneaking off to the right side of the image. And we actually thought that it would be really fun to work with, Durin's Folk Family Reunion.
And we originally made it because of the Hobbit movies turned into the dwarf movies.
That's right. Yeah. The Hobbit movies ended up being heavily dwarf-centric.
There is, I think there are announcements to be made on that front.
Loved that, and a lot of people complained about
it was something that kind of
the Hobbit movies became very dwarf-specific in their narrative and in their narrative payoff and everything about it, including memes. There were more memes about the dwarves than there were about Gandalf or Bilbo. That's for sure. So pop culture was just, popular culture was doing what it was doing. It was making it all dwarves all the time. So we really liked this design, but we'd had to update it. Now we decided to add. Do we have that? Do we have the updates? Maybe not.
I'm not done with it. Here, I'll show you the preview. I'll show you a preview, guys.
We're possibly looking at changing out
I've added Celebrimbor's spear, Aeglor, and Durin's axe.
Durin's axe and the very famous spear of Gil-galad.
To that,
Gil-galad spear.
I'm changing it a bit because you know what? If this is Durin's Folk, we wanted to memorialize the epic effort that Celebrimbor and the folks and Durin's Folk, Narvi actually, but Durin's Folk actually, built those magic doors that we see in Fellowship of the Ring. So we want to commemorate that union, that professional union, which is talked about in this new article.
Yes, and we changed the keyhole to a meteor.
Egglor, Ever11 in the chat room says Egglor meaning snow point.
Beautifully said.
Celebrimbor's spears named Snow Point. Dr. Nosy says Brimby's spear.
It's Gil-galad's spear.
It's Gil-galad's spear. Spear.
It's not Celebrimbor's spear.
Yeah, it's a spear that I Googled. Okay, and there's some merch.
Oh, you're so funny.
Yeah,
you're so funny.
It's the only Elvish spear. I don't think Kelly had a spear, so it's the only Elvish spear that I could find that had any design of note.
Eglos.
So the short answer is no. You cannot order it online. You're gonna have to ask your friends to pick you one up at our booth. It's exclusively at our booth. If they're popular enough, we might have some. We might send some to Dragon Con. If you go to Dragon Con, there might be some there too.
Oh,
but,
okay. Well,
we haven't decided on that. But yeah, you're gonna have to ask your friends and people and your friends in the Discord that might be going to Comic-Con, to pick you one up and ship it to you.
Aegelos, ending the word with the proper letter. And if anybody misspoke earlier, it was me. Aegelos is the name of the spear. It ends with an S, not with an R.
Okay, so Tukish says Celebrimbor did have a hammer. So should I include instead of the spear, should that be an axe and a hammer? Like a smith's hammer?
Yeah, maybe, but
what do you guys think? What do you guys think?
I thought the idea was to combine the elf and the dwarf.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Celebrimbor, an elf,
yes,
has a hammer.
Okay,
a jeweler's hammer.
A jeweler's hammer. Well, I think the idea of it being very synergistic, we're looking at it as a great synergy at this point in the Second Age between the elves and the dwarves, not hatred and a really unfortunate bias in the way they dealt with each other. We're talking about things being much, much more friendly and supportive and dynamic in their most flourishing high end of their relationship when things were really great. So looking at that synergy between Aegelos and Durin's axe, I kind of love that. I like that a lot.
The chat room says Turan is Celebrimbor's mithril hammer given to him by Sauron.
So, oh dear! Wow.
So do we want do we want the axe and the hammer, or do we want the axe and the spear? Now, Cliff, it was your great idea to come up with the spear and the axe, and I like it.
Thank you for that. I appreciate the idea, but you know what? Going with the hammer and spear, or excuse me, Celebrimbor's hammer of creating and smithing jewelry, powerful jewelry, and combining that with Durin's axe, that might be a very interesting looking design. So why don't we make 2 mock-ups and then put it to a vote on Twitter or something like that?
Yeah,
maybe.
I appreciate everybody's input on Twitter and on Discord and here in the chat room.
I do too. It's a great idea.
We want to make stuff that everybody wants to see, and I think we're gonna have the One Ring logo on a T-shirt because so many people have asked how they can represent the website and this community on all their Zoom calls, and we've never really made just shirts that just say the One Ring. So I think we're gonna make some shirts that just say the OneRing.net with our Ring logo. I think that's gonna be fun. So
yeah. Well, I should also take my hat off, and I don't even have one today, but let's take my hat off to co-writer and director of Ringers Lord of the Fans. It was Carlene Cordova, the filmmaker, independent filmmaker herself, who originally came up with the t-shirt design of Durin's Folk Family Reunion. That was, if I'm not mistaken,
you're right.
It's a Carlene Cordova original design, but now we're making these modifications to it. I like the idea of a weapon and another weapon being crossed over the sky above the mountain. But if you turn it around and change it to Celebrimbor's hammer of creation, maybe it's a weapon, which is Durin's axe, up above the mountain with a tool of creation and a weapon. And that might make it very thematically different to have those two things. And I guess we just need to come up with some kind of a cool design for Celebrimbor's hammer.
The chat room is pretty united on just the spear. Like, I think we just keep with the spear. Now, the other idea that I had, and chat room, I want your opinion. I haven't decided to bring this one back. This was a very popular shirt.
I love that. That's really funny. That's always been funny.
Do you guys like this one? Because this was our first T-shirt that we ever made at San Diego Comic-Con.
That's hilarious.
This was the first shirt the One Ring ever made for San Diego Comic-Con 2001, 2002. And I thought we'd bring it back this year as a 20th anniversary. That's for those hilarious. Who knew. Would you guys buy that shirt, or should we skip that one, leave it in the archives, and let's focus on the Durin's folk and other stuff? Like, it's okay. Tell me. You can tell me, like, I'm not feeling that one. Please, like if you're not feeling that one, tell me now, because we're making decisions about this stuff.
Before we go to print, you have to print out a lot of shirts, and that is a lot of planning ahead of time before you hit the button and start running the pizza conveyor belt, the pizza maker. Isn't that what we still call it? And how you get those shirts pressed
Monica
and screened.
Says, I like it because it's like, don't make me use my teacher voice. Don't make me get my belt, as my dad used to say.
Don't make me get... Yeah. Oh, gosh. You know what? It was always Dad saying something to me and my older brother along the lines of, don't make me turn this car around. It was always that.
Yeah.
Dad would always say that.
Hey, we're getting texts on the hotline. Kaylin Griffin
hilarious.
Says, Facebook keeps closing when I try to chat on Facebook, so I went to YouTube chat. You know what? That's why we stream to all the different platforms, because if for some reason one of the platforms goes down, you can always watch us on Twitter, on Twitch, and on YouTube.
Yeah.
And if you really want to join the chat, you can jump on the Discord, where the Discord is usually the most active. When is the next OneRing.net live stream? We do this show every Tuesday. I haven't decided if we're going to... I'm leaning toward no. We're not going to stream our panels, just because we've got some really... Oh, man. I'm not even going to say anything. There's a reason we're not going to stream our panels. But we hope you're there. And we
know what they are.
We hope people will tweet about what they see at our panels.
Man, ladies and gentlemen, our gentle folk who come as part of our gentle audience, this is one of those times where Justin actually told me that he didn't keep the secrets from me. Ladies and gentlemen, please understand that he is not just dropping a hint. He is dropping a gauntlet so heavy on the floor. And I'm telling you, it's going to be delightful. It's going to be so great. But as a consolation prize, why don't we talk about another possibility, Justin? Maybe we could do live streaming after, like a post-mortem on the panel presentation.
Yeah, we can walk around Comic-Con if there's internet, good internet signal, and we can do it. Hey, Anuneth in the chat room says you guys should make a Shillmarillion t-shirt. As an inside joke, an outside joke, started, I believe, with Varking. A lot of people on our Facebook page especially wants to call the One Ring shills. We were called shills in 2001 when we got all this exclusive access to Warner Brothers New Line Cinema's Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings, and a bunch of book lovers called us shills to the corporate studio. Well, we're getting called the same things here in 2022. So the internet remains undefeated, or maybe defeated because they're wrong. But maybe we should make a t-shirt that says Shillmarillion. Would you guys wear a Shillmarillion shirt? Or is that just too much of an inside joke?
Stop it.
Stop
That's
it.
too funny. That's just too funny.
Stop
That's
it.
too funny. You know what's funny? What's really interesting is looking at this old edition of Robert Foster's Complete Guide to Middle Earth. You know, when this stuff first
That's a
came out,
screenshot right there. You're holding up like old weathered books, and I'm holding up the four. This is basically what the internet says are the two diversions in fandom. You know, a guy
not
with
really.
a bookshelf of Tolkien books and a guy with 32 discs of 4K goodness. This is the dichotomy of fandom.
I don't think it's a dichotomy. I think it's a blending, because this stuff goes hand in hand. You know, a lot of fans like to blend and appreciate all this stuff together. I mean, it's not everybody on Earth who's going to be such a granular, hardcore fan that they know the differences between the Silmarillion and some of the common mistakes that Mr. Foster made in this compendium. However, it's always good and fun to sit down with somebody, you know, who's going to be obviously good-natured and open-handed in the conversation, but it's great to actually share what you know with people. Somebody can walk in and teach me things that I never knew about the motion capture process that Andy Serkis had to go through, and I would so much appreciate that. That'd be so cool. And then somebody else who is a theologian, who is much more learned in these things than I, he could come in and sit down and teach me about some of the really broad and interesting spiritual concepts that Tolkien wrote about. And I would love that. I love appreciating that. It's all together a blend of how we absorb Tolkien and, more to the point, how we respond. I think it's really about how we as individuals respond to Tolkien. And I love getting into the nitty-gritty, and I love getting into the connections of Professor Tolkien's life and looking at the scholarship that other people have done, connecting events in the war, the Great War, World War I, and the events in Tolkien's life that influenced his writing as a young man. And I also like people who spin some other interesting ideas that I may not have ever heard of, and I get a new angle. I get a totally refreshing new idea about absorbing Tolkien and how he's had a lingering effect on people, because this is a literary legacy that has an ongoing effect on people generation after generation, and it never exhausts itself. I want everybody to understand how intriguing it is because it's evergreen. If I could borrow a word from Elrond, the Lord of Rivendell, it is this appreciation of Tolkien's multifacetedness that is evergreen. And I love the idea that pop culture can sit down and, you know, have a bitch session about the Hobbit trilogy and complain about the way that Smaug was handled in the Hobbit trilogy, and Tauriel and Keeley and the love triangle. And at the same time, we can sit and really digest and understand the great power of Glorfindel and why Glorfindel is represented in the books the way that Tolkien very uniquely represents the spiritual essence in the story of Glorfindel. And then everybody in the room can all agree, because we all wave our hands and say, what the heck? Why is it Glorfindel is the most interesting character, but he never shows up in any adaptation? He's never in any adaptation, whether it's radio or television or film or animation. He never shows up. Well, of course, there is the exception of the unabridged, BBC versions where Glorfindel does show up. But, there's something for everybody. And everybody can really enjoy that fact without being punitive or...
Oh, no, we lost Cliff. Oh, he froze. Cliff is frozen. All right, well, while he's getting his signal back, the Amazon released this new ad on Facebook. Let's play it again. All right. Nothing is evil. Nothing is evil in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I hear you, Cliff.
Hi there. I'm back. I'm back, everybody.
Notice that they put this text over our pal Elrond.
Right.
I don't think, Cliff, do you think there are any accidents in this strategic marketing campaign of Amazon, or do you think every detail is specific?
No, I'm not sure that every detail is super specific.
Is there anything to read into this? Nothing is evil, or do you think this is just a well-edited piece? Do you think should we read "Nothing is evil" into Arondir?
Played by Ishmael Cruz Cordova?
Yeah.
No, I think that if they're really trying to feed us something that is a thematic concept, and if we're supposed to be, taking this as the meat and potatoes of the thematic push of this new TV series, then it's all about Sauron.
Well, no, see, you say
Because
I don't. Okay, go ahead.
Because that's the direct dialogue of where it comes from.
Explain.
Well, it's in the Fellowship of the Ring, in the Council of Elrond, when the Lord of Imladris, played by Hugo Weaving, remember, Elrond is giving a speech about, all kinds of things happening, and he actually uses that phrase. I'm actually digging it up in the book. I've got the book open right in front of me. Seeing if I can find it.
Because I thought nothing is evil. Everything that you've told me about the men of Numenor, how they deforested Middle Earth, they instigated trade and then might have become a little too much of an empire type thing, where it's like they kind of like took control or had too much influence over the lands that they were doing business with. It kind of feels like Numenor might turn into an evil empire. And so my vibe from that ad is nothing is evil in the beginning, which means Numenor, the Atlantis of Tolkien's world, turns evil and is destroyed by the gods because it has turned evil. So my thought on that ad was nothing is evil in the beginning is we're about to see in season 1 a pinnacle of society at its peak, a society at its peak of influence, and it's all downhill from here, and they turn evil.
I think that could be just as applicable. That could be totally workable. And just because the original dialogue is one character talking about a specific character, that doesn't mean that it could not have a thematic scope. And maybe that is the way they want to use it, that it has a broader thematic scope. And I find it interesting. I don't know why people are so willing to argue so heavily online about whether Sauron needed to have a redemption arc, because at no point is there presented a redemption arc. It's actually presented that Sauron blatantly ignored a chance to redeem himself, and out of his own hubris and his own intent and his pride, he went about his own way of trying to redeem himself. And he went about it the wrong way and got more and more prideful and ridiculous about it. And he really leaned into it, and became so controlling. Sauron became, again, a recreation of his former master, Morgoth. But it's not like Professor Tolkien was really trying to ever give a redemption arc to Sauron, but he was giving a commentary on evil, and that evil had an opportunity to be redeemed and turned away from it. And that is a way more interesting commentary that Professor Tolkien is offering for us.
I love the online discourse that has been happening in the wake of this ad. Again, we're calling it Nothing Was Evil in the beginning. Some comments from the internet. Tolkien's a Catholic, of course, and nothing is evil in the beginning. Even Satan wasn't.
Originally, he was the morning star. He was Lucifer before the fall. Of course, Milton has written about that, and a lot of other theologians and very learned academics have written about Satan before the fall as Lucifer.
And people were posting
I get the analogy.
actual screenshots, photos from the book. Quote,
yeah.
But now Iluvatar sat and hearkened, and for a great while it seemed good to him. For in the music there were no flaws. But as the theme progressed, it came into the heart of Melkor to interweave matters of his own imagining that were not in accord with the theme of Iluvatar. For he sought therein to increase the power and glory of the part assigned to himself. To Melkor, among the Ainur, had been given the greatest gifts of power and knowledge, and he had a share in all the gifts of his brethren. He had gone often alone into the void, places seeking the imperishable flame, for desire grew hot within him to bring into being things of his own. And it seemed to him that Iluvatar took no thought for the void, and he was impatient of his emptiness. Yet he found not the fire, for it is with Iluvatar. But being alone, he had begun to conceive thoughts of his own, unlike those of his brethren. So Melkor, who's Sauron's daddy, basically in evil,
who became Morgoth. Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
So there was let me see if I can find it. There was another great one. Again, look at this, Shillmarillion. This is what I have to look at in my comments section every day, folks. Oh, there it is. Evil cannot create anything new. They can only corrupt. Wouldn't it be funny if Amazon started using this quote in their marketing?
That is funny. That's hilarious.
Yeah. So there's a lot going on. I'm trying to find. There was one debate. Let me take this off screen. There was one awesome debate where they talked about Cliff, and maybe I can't find it right now, but maybe you can explain, Cliff. They were talking about the song, and that quote that I just read was about the singing. And so, are you saying that evil didn't start evil, and Sauron didn't start evil? Like, there's no base evil?
As an original Maiar spirit, no, Sauron did not start out evil. Neither did Melkor. Melkor just chose a path of deliberate disregard. Like when you were in preschool, you got bad marks for does not play well with others. Melkor got the worst marks in his preschool from his teacher for does not play well with others.
Well, someone tweeted the actual quote, "For nothing is evil in the beginning, even Sauron was not so. Elrond and Fellowship of the Ring." Cliff, does Amazon show pay off that quote? Does Amazon show Elrond befriending a nice Sauron?
No, Elrond and Gil-galad were not taken in by Anatar showing up and being, in disguise.
Again, let's go back to the quote. Elrond says, even Sauron was not evil in the beginning. So Elrond is speaking from personal experience. Does this TV show that Elrond is friends with Sauron?
No, I don't think that's where it's pointing at. In fact, that would be wrong. That would be totally wrong. It's actually Celebrimbor who is the person who is fascinated with what Anatar is bringing to the table. Elrond sniffs trouble in the air and makes the judicious, smart choice to not have anything to do with Sauron/Anatar. So, sorry, I'm thinking it's all about.
So why would Elrond say that in Fellowship of the Ring? Where did he learn that?
Well, because elves of his great learning and great wisdom know what happened in the ancient days of the Ainulin Dale. The elves were probably the only ones, certainly the second-born children of Iluvatar, the mortal men. They didn't have records of this. It was the elves. It was the Noldor who had proper records of what happened during the Ainulin Dale and the beginning of time, and how these angelic beings, the Valar and the Maiar, were structured, and their hierarchy, and how it all worked. It was the elves who had that history, and I'm quite clear that Elrond, as a historian, was very learned in such things.
Oh, here's the quote, Cliff. Here's that tweet thread. Bonnie B on Twitter says, technically, discontent presented itself in a minor key and augmented thirds.
Mm-hmm. That's a great way of saying it.
She continues. That's
a great way of saying it.
The music that Melkor brought into the Ainulindale occurred in 3 movements, and it was the final movement where Eru not only allowed it to happen, but wove it into the design. And she says, for me, that was the acceptance of the possibility of evil and a surrender to darkness.
Wow. That's super cool. Okay. Well, excuse me. I'm still looking for the quote where Elrond says what he says. Oh, here it is. It's right here. I found it. Here it is. It looks like Boromir and Elrond are having this conversation between each other, and it's this part where Boromir is upset and says, I do not understand all of this. Saruman is a traitor, but did he not have a glimpse of wisdom? Why do you speak ever of hiding and destroying? Why should we not think that the great ring has come into our hands to serve us in the very hour of need, wielding it in the free, excuse me, I said that wrong. Boromir goes on to say, wielding it, the free lords of the free may surely defeat the enemy. That is what he most fears, I deem. The men of Gondor are valiant. They will never submit, but they may be beaten down. Valor needs first strength and then a weapon. Let the ring be your weapon. It has such power. If it has such power as you say, take it and go forth to victory. Alas, no, said Elrond. We cannot use the ruling ring. That we now know too well. It belongs to Sauron and was made by him alone, and is altogether evil. Its strength, Boromir, is too great for anyone to wield at will, save only those who have already a great power of their own. But for them, it holds an even greater, an even deadlier peril. The very desire of it corrupts the heart. Consider Saruman. If any of the wise should, with this ring, overthrow the Lord of Mordor using his own arts, he would then set himself on Sauron's throne, and yet another Dark Lord would appear. And that is another reason why the ring should be destroyed. As long as it is in the world, it will be a danger even to the wise, for nothing is evil in the beginning. Even Sauron was not so. I fear to take the ring and hide it. I will not take the ring to wield it. Nor I, said Gandalf. Boromir looked at them doubtfully, but he bowed his head. So be it, he said.
Tegan in the chat room, Cliff, says, no, it's more that he was ignored until the point of frustration. And then, when he actually got attention, he changed.
Oh, are we talking about Morgoth or Sauron? Or are we talking about Boromir sitting in the council? Are we talking about Boromir being ignored during the council? Or are we talking about Sauron?
Well, I love that every little thing can apply to multiple characters. Well,
ultimately, what Elrond is talking about is the power of evil being present in the ring is enough to turn Saruman from a good guy to a bad guy. And he is making a weird parallel that I find very interesting to Sauron and Saruman. Saruman is now turned evil, but he was not so originally. Let's compare that to Sauron the Dark Lord. He was not evil originally, and so therefore consider leaving the ring to exist in the world is leaving the chance of evil to happen yet again to corrupt the next person who would otherwise not be that way. So I find that an interesting take by Elrond.
Does Celebrimbor turn evil?
No, Celebrimbor doesn't turn evil. No. Celebrimbor ultimately becomes wise to the unfortunate game that Sauron is playing, and takes the 3 elven rings and hides them so that Sauron cannot get them.
Does Celebrimbor and Boromir have parallel arcs?
Oh yeah, you could probably draw something like that out. You could, wanting to do the right thing and then being tempted the wrong way at the wrong time when your heart was in the good space all the time. Your heart was in the right spot, but you got tempted the wrong way at the wrong time and you went with it and it got bad. And the results are bad.
Let me ask you this.
So maybe there's an interesting parallel. Maybe.
Should the Rings of Powe, the $1 billion 5-season epic show from Amazon, should the Rings of Powe be about the Rings of Powe and Sauron from Sauron's perspective? Do you think Sauron
Why not?
Do you think Sauron had good intentions for Arda?
Not originally. Not by the time he wanted to have rings made. No. Originally, he may have had better ideas, but that was thousands and thousands and thousands of years before the events where the rings are made. And the rings are made, and there's ultimately the War of Elves and Sauron. That's all near the end of the Second Age. Honestly, seriously, we're going to have some interesting problems with the time compression. The time compression is going to be a little bit wobbly because
should the show be about Sauron?
All right. Once in a lifetime, do we get to look at what Sauron was doing when he could still assume a total Tom Hiddleston?
Daisy
Loki
says he is an antagonist, but I'm saying he is the protagonist of this story. He is the hero of his own story.
No. Well, it depends. Are you making the story an examination of corruption? Are you only if you're making the story?
But he must have some valid points if he converts Saruman and a bunch of other people along the way to his cause. He must have some valid points.
No, Justin, I know you're trying to get the sound bite to come out of somebody, but that's not going to work. No, that's not going to work.
I'm not looking for the sound bite to come out of you. I'm telling you right now, I want the show to be about Sauron. From his perspective, he's the hero of his own story, and everybody else is evil. The men of Numenor are evil. That's why their island gets destroyed. The people that destroy the trees are evil. Or maybe not, because Saruman does. I don't know. He decides who is evil, and he has valid reasons for it. Saruman goes into the Two Towers saying, the men of the West took your villages, burn every village. That's what he says. Took your lands, forced you up into the mountains. There is a lot of bad blood in Middle-earth by the time the Third Age is coming. I'm sure there's a ton of bad blood that Sauron is just acting upon. Do people want the Walter White? Do people want the anti-hero show that this title promises? Rings of Powe. This show has to be about Sauron.
Maybe so, but to the degree that you're casting it, I'm not sure that I would lean into it like that. It's more like, who was Sauron at the end of the War of Wrath? Okay, versus who was Sauron thousands of years later when he was chopping Celebrimbor's body parts off and sticking his dead torso on a spear and chucking it around town like a banner
Wait,
above people's
this
heads.
guy, this Celebrimbor in this beautiful velvet cloak,
It doesn't end well. It does not end well for him. No, it does not end well for him.
Dismembered? Like he's dismembered? Like a
horrible.
political?
Look, okay.
What?
If
This
Sauron,
guy.
if Sauron was going to be considered a guy who had a story to tell that could go from maybe one way, and then too bad he ends up not doing it and goes the other way. No, you'd have to talk about the very, very end of the First Age. The end of the First Age, when Sauron was given a chance by the Valar to go back to Valinor. Get out of Middle-earth. Get out of Middle-earth right now. Come back and pay for your crimes. Seek to atone. And after you come to us in Valinor and have atonement, proper atonement. But Sauron never did that. He never did that. You know what he did instead, Justin? He became the hero of his own story. All right? So if you're going to talk about Sauron wanting to be the hero of his own story, you cannot forego the most essential building blocks of Sauron's story. He was given a chance for atonement. He did not go back to the blessed realm of Valinor. And instead, he said, I'm going to rehabilitate myself, and I'm going to do it my own way, and I'm going to do it here in Middle-earth, and I'll seek atonement by making things better and setting things my own way. And that was at the very end of the First Age, at the beginning of the Second Age. Do you think that they're going to cross thousands and thousands and thousands of years of time and squish that into the very end of the Second Age? If they do, if they squish that all together, it's going to be weird. It's going to be wobbly, wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey stuff, just like somebody said in the YouTube chat. Look, if Sauron is going to be the hero of his own story, then you have to start with, why did he not seek to atone for working with Morgoth all of those centuries?
Why you got to bring up old shit? Why are you bringing up old shit? Like
that's because that's his story. That's Sauron's story.
I'm here now in the Second Age. I'm here now in the Second Age. Just want to be your friend. Let's make music together.
I'm telling you, it's all about Sauron. Fine, that's fine. But if they're going to tell the story, they better do it right. He tries to ignore the command of the gods of Mount Olympus. Do you understand? He ignores
Sauron
going back. Sauron ignores the call to go back to Valinor, to go back to the gods and goddesses, and atone for his evil.
Does Celebrimbor? Let me ask you this.
He refuses to do that.
Let me ask you this. As we all know, Brian Cogman, who was number one in the writers' room on Game of Thrones, consulted on this series early on. Do you think Celebrimbor is dead by the end of season 1?
No, I think Celebrimbor might die in season 2 or 3. But he has a very grisly, tragic, horrifying, tragic death.
Game of Thrones level. That sounds Game of Thrones level bad.
It's worse. It's bad. It's as bad as Game of Thrones. It's really bad. And I would like to draw our attention to Anuneth. Thank you in the YouTube chat. Let's read what Professor Tolkien said. Sauron abjured all his evil deeds, and some hold that this was not at first falsely done, but that Sauron in truth repented, if only out of fear.
Well, let's go to the big article that was released today, folks. As you saw, there's 2 new pictures of Celebrimbor. This one with Elrond.
Yeah, let's show that again. Let's show that again.
This
I like
one
this.
of him standing. I don't know what's going on there with there's a leaf on his shoulder, but they've really doubled down. Like I don't understand why Amazon's releasing this when they saw the reaction to Celebrimbor last week or the week before and was like, oh, let's give the fans more of that guy that they obviously love. I don't know what's going on, but to Amazon's credit, they finally released some context to Celebrimbor. Here we are at fandom.com, and you can find the link in our Twitter feed. Celebrimbor's background, as detailed in the books, extends back to the First Age. As an Oldoran prince, he was last in the line of the House of Feanor, the head of which is his grandfather. His Feanor was the son of Finwë, the first High King of the Noldor, also known to Deep Elves, and celebrated as the greatest of the Elder clans. Feanor's greatest achievement, as the clan's greatest artisan, was crafting the 3 jewels known as the Silmarils. So his grandson is this dude. The guy that made the Silmarils is this dude in green. And it's a great article that goes into the lore. And the interesting thing is he's in pursuit of something bigger that no one else understands. And therefore he can be single-minded. He can use people, but just to get somewhere he thinks is going to be for the betterment of everybody and bring him great glory. He is very vain. They are setting up this show and this version of Celebrimbor that he is burdened with his grandfather's legacy of creating the Silmarils, and he wants to create something equal or better in historical stature. He wants to create a bigger legacy than his grandfather did with the Silmarils.
I get that. I totally get that. And yes, Celebrimbor's father was indeed Curufin. So one of the seven sons of Feanor. Yes, that's true. So, and you know what? I can understand.
But he doesn't make the One Ring, right? He doesn't make the One Ring. He makes the 3 rings of elves, right?
Celebrimbor does not make the One Ring. That was made by Sauron by himself elsewhere, not in Eregion, but in the
with knowledge imparted to Sauron from Celebrimbor.
Actually, it was Celebrimbor who learned ring making from Sauron. It wasn't Sauron who learned ring making from Celebrimbor. Sorry.
So Celebrimbor doesn't necessarily make rings in the Rings of Power?
He is taught by Sauron in the disguise of Anatar how to make rings.
He doesn't make rings until then? So he's not like a ring maker already, and Sauron just chose the best to go to?
Sauron's evil plot was critical, hinging on teaching Celebrimbor ringcraft. And I'm going to buy into the psychology that you were talking about when you were quoting that other material that you were just quoting. I would lean into that psychology that being the grandson of Feanor would have been something like a legacy thing where, of course, maybe he felt that he needed to have a legacy of his own. And here comes an opportunity when Anatar, the Lord of Gifts, gives Celebrimbor the gift of ring making. And this might psychologically be something that underpins his behaviors as Celebrimbor gets real crafty and makes a whole bunch of rings, 7, and then 9, and then makes 3 more in secret without Sauron knowing that they exist. All kinds of interesting stuff going on. So yeah, I would like to say that's a pretty cool breakdown of looking at the family lineage of Celebrimbor and understanding that legacy would have been a motivational factor for him. Sure.
The fact that this piece of history is in this article, I have a feeling that in the first 30 minutes of episode 1, we are going to see in an early prologue, we're going to see the making of the Silmarils. Even if a passing glance, I think we will see. But Cliff, you're as a lore expert, expert and someone that is in the front lines of the discussion about lore, I wanted to get your opinion on this other part in the article. He says, there's actually a little note scrawled in a margin by Tolkien saying, not sure about this, should have changed it. or something along those lines, in order to start building a character that's very exciting. There's a blueprint, but there hasn't been any coloring in, and it's down to me, the actor, and everyone else to create him. That has been really exciting. So considering the 2 or 3 versions of Celebrimbor that Tolkien had of the character, which in themselves differ from each other, our version is a composite and a little bit more.
Intriguing.
So basically, he's saying up front, the actor, Charles Edwards, is saying that Tolkien had scribbled notes that he has seen with his own eyes. Not sure about this. Should have changed it. To an actor,
I'd like to see that.
To an actor, that must be incredibly freeing. But we did not.
Sure.
Like, do you think Liv Tyler had any issues? She didn't need permission to take Arwen where Arwen went in the movies.
Oh, of course. I get it. I get what you're saying. But I would personally like to see this handwritten note that he's talking about. I would love to see it. I think it'd be really cool. And I'm not saying that out of being snarky or being a doubting Thomas. I'm actually saying it because of a thirst for academic knowledge. I'm very thirsty for that kind of handwritten commentary from Professor Tolkien. And yes, there's a lot of scholarship that will back him up and say there are very different versions of Celebrimbor, and there's some small references to him that made it to print in The Lord of the Rings. And there are other references to him that he didn't finish rewriting. And remember, when the Silmarillion was published, Professor Tolkien, sadly, was already gone. He had already left us. And it was up to Christopher to put the material together and bring forward whatever manuscripts that Christopher thought was best at the time to tell the story of what we know about Celebrimbor. And there's just a little bit at the end chapter in this book of the Rings of Power and the Third Age. And that is where Amazon got their title for the TV show, is from this chapter right here in the Silmarillion. I'm not going to lie.
Cliff,
it's interesting to read, but Celebrimbor is not Mr. Gullible, really. Go ahead.
Well, he does say he's kind of gullible because he's got so much pride. Another comment from a quote from this article says, Celebrimbor has a little antechamber with a velvet chaise lounge.
Oh my!
In it. I love that. I didn't know that was going to be there. Celebrimbor likes to go and have a little lie down on his velvet chaise lounge when things get a bit much.
Mm-hmm.
This elf is absolutely a chaise lounge type of man. Oh, I need to go sit down.
Okay. Listen to this. I'm going to read a clip from the Silmarillion. I was reading this earlier today, sitting out in my garden. In Eregion, the craftsmen of the Gwaith y Myrdain, the people of the jewel smiths, surpassed in cunning all that have ever wrought, save only Feanor himself. And indeed, greatest in skill among them was Celebrimbor, son of Curufin, who was estranged from his father and remained in Nargothrond when Celegorm and Curufin were driven forth, as is told in the Quenta Silmarillion. And that's it. Celebrimbor gets that one mention in that one sentence. That was it. That was one sentence. Celebrimbor gets that mention, and that's about it.
So there's a lot of room for expansion. Well, folks,
there is.
You can find the link on our Twitter and our Facebook. Fandom has posted this very long a very detailed lore article about it literally is everything you need to know about Celebrimbor, with the 2 new photos and the exclusive interview with the actor Charles Edwards, who, the criticism has been he's older than he should be, and his hair is shorter than it should be. I think in a lot of fans' eyes, Celebrimbor was supposed to be stupid, sexy Celebrimbor that just falls for stupid, sexy Sauron, and
sure.
Tumblr had do not search for Celebrimbor on Tumblr. I promise you, don't. Do not.
Okay, sure. That's hilarious.
Yeah. So
that's so hilarious. All right. I'm just gonna say that there's a story to be told, but what would take a person from a point of legacy, pride, and having pride in your own grandfather and the legacy where you come from, and the skill and the craft that you have?
The difference is according to this article, he wants to supersede that.
Really?
According to this article, it sets up this Celebrimbor as someone who is burdened by his grandfather's legacy and feels that he should be smart enough to make something as equal as the Silmarils.
Well, ultimately, Celebrimbor may have had a point of inflection where his pride was the Achilles heel that allowed Anatar/Sauron to get in there and get things corrupted so that Celebrimbor could be guided to doing what he ultimately did. Maybe that is in great alignment with Professor Tolkien in the way that he thematically would have written that out. And so let's see what they do. Let's see what they create. But also, before we finish off this excellent program and these very invigorating discussions about what motivates an elven lord, is it the burden of a grandfather's legacy, or is it just wanting to establish your own and create your own sense of history and your own sense of permanence in the world? Maybe that's something that Celebrimbor is motivated by. But hey, did we not have an absolute stunning exclusive article where we talked with Philippa Boyens about the War of the Rohirrim? Can we bring some attention to that? Because that was really something when we had that today. We gotta talk about that.
The One Ring was lucky enough to talk to Philippa Boyens exclusively over the phone or over Zoom. I forget what it was. And we went deep into the War of the Rohirrim. And we will talk about that next week, because this week I wanted to focus on Celebrimbor and Rings of Powe, because we could dedicate a whole hour to what editor Demosthenes learned. In fact, one of these things, like you saw artwork that they had already released. Boyens, quote from the article, Boyens agrees with the One Ring's suggestions about why Mumakil might be present at the Siege of Edoras. She says, a lot of your supposition was right in that article. She says, more or less adds a single word to that. Mercenaries. I think it works. I think it is not against what you could infer from what we know. In order to understand the use of those ideas, Boyan says, you need to understand the character and the position that he is in and found himself in, and who he would be turning to in this. Again, back to legacy. His father was not an insignificant Lord of Rohan. He had indeed grown fat and prospered. So,
right, indeed. It is a really fascinating article.
It's a great article. So you can read the whole article. We just posted it today at theonering.net. You can. It's one of the top articles on the website. Exclusive. Philippa Boyens talks War of the Rohirrim. Again, that movie will not be out for 2 more years. It's going to take that long to animate the whole thing. They've cast Brian Cox as the voice of Helm Hammerhand, and they have brought back Miranda Otto, Éowyn herself, to be the narrator at the beginning, at the end of the movie. So Éowyn is going to, in the context of the story, will be set up to tell the story of Helm Hammerhand and how the Shield Maidens of Rohan supported their king and everything like that. It's going to be an amazing movie. It's going to be theatrically
Sure
released
is.
worldwide, and it is an animated film with an all-star cast and crew: John Howe, Alan Lee, Weta Workshop, Philippa Boyens, Oscar winner Philippa Boyens, and who knows what else we might learn about this at San Diego Comic-Con. Cliff, I'm so excited to be back, to be going back to meet fans, bring some awesome merch, bring some awesome prizes that you can.
I am too.
So you're telling people to study up on the deepest lore. What book should they read, Cliff, if they want to win your trivia?
I would say take a close look at the very last 2 chapters of the Silmarillion.
Okay.
Those are 2 chapters at the end of the Silmarillion, and they are the Akalabeth and of the Rings of Power and the Third Age. And also take a look at Unfinished Tales. I would say really take a look at Unfinished Tales as well. How exciting is it to get that kind of an in-depth conversation piece with Oscar winner Philippa Boyens? And so I congratulate our editor and contributor Demosthenes for doing a fantastic job. That's a real banger. That article is a banger. It's fantastic. And look it up, you guys. I know it's an unusual thing, but get off of your Instagram and point your web browser to www.theonering.net, and you might actually be surprised how cool that is. I guess we'll have more conversation about War of the Rohirrim very soon. Are we near the end? Are we near the end of a wonderful Torn Tuesday? Do we have any more Green Dragon gossip to drop before we conclude today's festivities?
Hold on.
Anything
let me look
else?
around. Let me look around. Is there
Anything
any
else?
other? Is there any?
Should we tease something else related to San Diego Comic-Con, or maybe not?
No.
No,
nothing
then we're not
else
going to
yet.
tease. There's nothing else to tease yet. Okay.
I will put it to the chat room. I will bring the Gollum mask. I will bring the Gollum mask to Comic-Con.
No, don't do that.
I'm going to. That's my only cosplay.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to wear my Bilbo's patchwork dressing gown. I'm going to wear that from An Unexpected Journey. That'll be fun.
Well, Tukish in the chat room in the Discord says he's going to drop something great. So head on over to the Discord.
My. Okay, that sounds
The link
great.
again is over there, discord.gg/theonering. Should take you right to Discord. You don't need to download anything. You can sign up right in your browser. But they do have a mobile app, which is awesome because you can set the notifications for different things. And so there's an app for desktop, but you don't have to download anything. You just use it in your browser, which a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Varking says he will bring the dwarf helmet to SDCC. Demosthenes says, I did a round table with her with Philippa in Wellington for Return of the King, but I have not done an interview for over 10 years. Felt very out of practice. Yeah, you can imagine how I felt talking to a bunch of Empire editors when I don't even edit a magazine. But
Indeed.
That was a great conversation with Empire magazine. If you missed it the last couple weeks ago, we've learned so much about this show, and we appreciate you guys staying with us on Torn Tuesday. We're going to continue bringing all the latest gossip. Whether it ends up true or not, maybe it is true at a certain point in time, but changes.
And then it changes. It always changes on us. It does. That's a common theme when we're trying to do reporting. By the time we report on what we know, or we do proper reporting and follow up on what we heard about, then some things change. By the time. So that does happen. But
I don't want to.
Oh my goodness!
Oh man, I don't want to.
Don't say it.
I don't say.
Don't say it.
All I will say is, it is the 20th anniversary of the release of Fellowship of the Ring. At this point in time,
actually, the
20 years ago,
the Two Towers.
I'm gonna say, if you let me finish my thought.
Sure.
20 years ago, right now, we had not even seen the extended edition. 20 years ago at Comic-Con in 2002, Peter Jackson announced a special version for the fans coming out in November. And that was the first hint that we had an extended edition. And at that point, no one had ever re-edited the film. At that point in time in history, every film came with deleted scenes that were a bonus feature on the menu. No one had ever edited bonus scenes back into the feature film so you could watch it together. And Peter shocked us at
went
Comic-Con.
back to Howard Shore, and Howard Shore had to write new music.
He did.
Lots of new music. Yeah.
So at this point in time, at July 28th, 2002, we didn't even know what an extended edition is.
That's right. We didn't know at the time. Yes,
we didn't know that Elven rope was given to Frodo and Sam.
Because they were going to add 19 minutes back into the Fellowship of the Ring.
We don't know how Isildur died.
Okay, look. So it is the 20th anniversary of Fellowship of the Ring, and it's also going to be the 20th anniversary a couple of months after Comic-Con is over of the Two Towers. And so maybe there's a reason to be at Comic-Con because there will be celebrations to have. Maybe.
The unicorn. No announcements for the Unicorn Edition. I'm going to tell you that right now.
There's no Unicorn Edition at all. That's not going to happen.
32 disc 4K box sets to give away. That is as good as we can get with a re-edit of the films.
Yeah, because there is no Unicorn Edition. Maybe in the far future for the 25th anniversary, Peter Jackson will get the money from Warner Brothers to re-edit and put things together and provide a proper presentation of a lot of other archived materials that Peter and Michael Pellerin said that they're still holding on to. They're still holding on to it.
All I'm saying is, because this is our first Comic-Con back in 3 years, because Amazon has put Lord of the Rings on every 150,000 badges, because we have such a presence, I am not afraid to be making calls to all of our friends that we've grown to love and admire over the last 20 years to see what can happen. So we got so much more stuff to announce. So stay tuned. We might even announce something on Friday. So make sure you follow us on all the socials at the One Ring Net. You can follow him at QuickBeam2000 for all of the wonderful lore perspectives. I tell you, anytime there's a Twitter argument, you can tell that Cliff picks up his book right there, dives deep into the pages, and then tweets. By the way, Cliff,
You're so funny.
I just upgraded.
I try to be more thoughtful about my, discourse online. I try my best.
So does my mic sound any better? I spent all this money on a brand new mic because that's what all the streamers use. I want to know, do I sound any better?
Yeah, it sounds wonderful. I have a brand new microphone myself that I have to properly install, and I'm sure that I will sound better too. But you really do sound quite good this week. Well done. And I like the little funny rotating colors that keep changing on your microphone. It's kind of cute.
So can you guys watching tell the difference that this is a better mic? Does it sound better? Hey, Varking wants to know, Cliff, did you install the Google Voice app? Can he text you yet?
I was not able to.
Oh, we were trying to. We tried to, right? There was some technical jiggery pokery that we had to figure out.
A lot of unfortunate technical jiggery pokery that prevented me from installing it. However,
we tried. It's not slacker. It's not a slacker. I can promise you. We tried.
We sure did try.
It is complicated.
And I had to log out of all of my Google accounts on all of my apps on all my iOS, and then I had to re-log in trying to use my phone number, and it didn't work when I logged in with my phone number. And so I logged back into my Google accounts on all my apps, and now I haven't been able to use it quite properly since then. but we'll see. We'll see what we can do.
I just want to sound as good as Matt, Nerd of the Rings, when he's talking about the lore. He's got a great microphone.
Yeah, he has an excellent microphone. He sounds great. So, yeah, good stuff. And again, yeah, Matt was here in the chat with us just a couple of minutes ago, and he was correct that Sauron specifically guided the elves to making 7 rings and then 9 rings. But then Celebrimbor, all by his lonesome, went off alone without Sauron's involvement and made, in secret, 3 rings.
Oh, no, not this one. Okay.
Well, that one was the other one that Celebrimbor didn't know about until later on, but that was one that Sauron made by himself in secret. So, yes, that was correct. And I'm glad we went through that again. Yeah, you could totally do ASMR. It'd be hilarious if Justin did. The 1 ring on a chain ASMR. That's hilarious. Okay, and now we say good night, everybody. It's time to close the show. And once again, thank you for being with us on an extraordinarily invigorating and lively, talkative, very, very fun experience. Thank you for being with us.
I want to dip down into this mic. Like, I normally sit up here and talk, but this mic just wants me to talk down here and just be here with you guys, nice and close.
Do you know what? Paint me some pretty little trees. Why don't you? Paint me some happy little trees.
Have a seat on your chaise lounge, Celebrimbor.
While I make you some rings for breakfast.
Put your hand over your shoulder.
It's time to say goodnight, ladies and gentlemen. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to say goodnight. It's a wonderful show, but I got to say, next Tuesday we're going to have even more mischief and more headlines, more news, and maybe a fair amount of speculation on the side. We're going to have it all for you like we do every week right here on Tuesday, Torn Tuesday at theonering.net. Forged by the fans and for the fans of J.R.R. Tolkien. Thank you, everybody.
The coast.
Thank you. Very, very good. Wait, next week when I get my new microphone installed, then we can do dueling ASMR. It'd be hilarious.
I can't wait to talk like this the whole show with you.
Okay, I can't wait either. I can't wait either. You guys, this is Clifford Broadway signing off. Do you know, Justin, your love of the halfling's leaf has clearly slowed your mind. So I'm going to say goodnight, Becky. Good night, Becky.
It began
good night, everybody.
with the forging of the great rings.
Yes, it did. This has been a really fun show, but next week, join us again, 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific time, right here for Torn Tuesday. Follow me on social channels at QuickBeam2000 on Instagram and Twitter. And you can also follow the One Ring Net on Instagram, Twitter, and our Discord. And everybody, be safe. Please look after one another, look after yourselves, especially in these days that we are living in right now. Be gentle with yourself and be gentle with your loved ones, one and all. And we'll see you here next week on Torn Tuesday. Until then, I say good night and good luck, or better yet, buenos noches y buena suerte. Bye, everybody.
Bye. It began with the forging of the great rings. 3 were given to the elves, immortal, wisest, and fairest of all beings. 7 to the dwarf lords, great miners and craftsmen of the mountain halls.
Here we go.
And 9 rings were gifted to the race of men who above all else desire power. But they were all of them deceived, for another ring was made. In the land of Mordor, in the fires of Mount Doom.
Hot. Now you're too hot.
In the land of Mordor, in the fires of Mount Doom, the Dark Lord Sauron forged in secret a master ring to control all others. and into this ring he poured his cruelty, his malice, and his will to dominate all life.
You scared my cat. I think you scared my cat, Justin. You scared my kitty.
One ring to rule them all.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Bye.